Hi, I'm Lex, aka Smarmy Clothes, and I'm back with another What the Craft tutorial. Today, I'm going to show you how to resize a t-shirt. We'll start out with something that looks like this, and turn it into something that looks like this. So to start out, we need one giant t-shirt, and a second shirt that's smaller and fits you well. Now, sometimes you can just get away with tracing or pinning around the smaller shirt and then sewing up the side seams of the larger shirt. But the problem you run into here with these really huge men's shirts is that the sleeve seams on the larger shirt wind up being in an awkward spot. So the first step is going to be to turn your giant shirt inside out and remove the sleeves. I like to make a small snip at the armpit so I can get the scissors through the shirt, and then I cut just the top layer before I proceed to the bottom layer. That way I can make sure I'm getting a really clean cut as close to the stitching as possible. When you're finished with one sleeve, repeat the same thing for the next sleeve. So now I've got both shirts folded in half, and you want to try to get these as cleanly folded as possible. Get all the bumps and wrinkles out. Now we're going to lay the smaller shirt on our giant shirt, and you want to line up the shoulder seams and that center fold. Now you can mark this if you want to, but I'm going to go straight to scissors. You're going to cut or mark following along the side seam of the smaller shirt from the bottom to the armpit. And you want to be sure to leave a seam allowance. Now I am going to use a marker for this part. I'm going to fold back the sleeve and I'm going to mark along the sleeve seam. Since this seam is slightly curved, I think the easiest way to do it is a series of dots. I do about 5 dots along the seam and then I connect the dots when I'm done. And then you cut along where you've marked. For the bottom of the shirt, I don't mind my shirt being a bit longer, so I'm going to use the existing hem. But if you need to shorten it, just mark about 1/2 inch to 1 inch lower than the smaller shirt hem, and then you'll hem it at the very end. Now we're going to move on to the sleeves. Line up the cuffs of both sleeves, and you'll notice my big sleeve is inside out right now. And we're going to mark the sleeve seam just like we did before. Fold it back, mark a couple of dots, and then connect the dots. And then we cut. And now that we have one sleeve done, it'll be a lot easier to do the second sleeve, because we can just use the first one as a pattern for the second. And at the risk of sounding like a broken record, remember your seam allowances. Now right now our sleeves are sewn shut, and it's going to be a lot easier to attach them to a shirt if they're open. So we're going to cut them open at the armpit seam. And as usual, you want to repeat that for both sleeves. Now we're going to take the body of our shirt, unfold it, and lay it flat. And if you lay out one of our sleeves, you can see right where it's going to fit. I'm going to fold the sleeve in half and mark the center. We're going to match the center of the sleeve to the shoulder seam, and we want them right sides together. Pin at the shoulder seam, and then we're going to match up the armpits on the sleeve to the armpits on the shirt. So I'm going to start at one side, pin the armpits together, and then I'm going to add more pins as necessary until I get to the center pin at the shoulder seam. You're probably going to have to stretch the sleeve a little bit, and then you'll repeat for the other side. Pin the armpits together, and then pin in between, stretching as necessary to get the sleeve to match the body of the shirt. Now here's a close-up of our handiwork so you can see how we've pinned all the way around that shoulder edge of the sleeve. Take it to your sewing machine or serger and stitch along the pins. And again, repeat for the other sleeve. Here we are after sewing both sleeves on. Also note the emergency exits at the front and back of the plane. Now we're going to fold the shirt back up, right sides together. Now we're going to pin the side seams together, starting at the armpit. Get that seam lined up really nice. And the other spot you want to pay attention to is that edge of the sleeve. Get that lined up really nice too. The last spot we really need to pay attention to is the hem. We're going to pin that together. And then just like before, add pins in between as needed till you get back to the armpit. And then we sew. So here's our shirt all sewn up inside out. If you didn't keep the original hem, now is the time to hem it. And here's the finished shirt turned right side out. And you can see if you bring in our original small shirt that they're pretty perfect match. And that's it for this tutorial. For more sewing and craft tutorials, subscribe to my channel. And be sure to check out the new What the Craft shop for sewing patterns, applique templates, and other free craft projects.